function, pumping and dumping, manipulate the market, flooded from the darknet, flooded from the deep web, keep it a secret. Every exchange got the nerdy brains trading on the frequent.
Just want to make sure the audio is coming in. So, welcome to the show, but I'll get to you in a moment. I just want to hear if the audio is coming in. Perfect. Okay. Hello, everyone out there on the interwebs. Caution here. This is Side Pocket. I am one of the two co-founders of DEF CON 201. We are a computer hacker group that tinkers with both hardware and software technologies, as well as just try to apply the hacker ethic and methodology to so many different facets of human life. Located out here in, there we go, Jersey City, New Jersey. That's the area that's normally, it still is a kind of a giant smell pile, but we actually get to have a life now because, unlike the rest of the country, we actually do wear masks in the States, so things are going back normal for us. But enough humble bragging. If you are interested in this type of show, what we're about to present, or want to know about our upcoming meeting next week, or any other details like that, you can go to our website at defcon201.org. We also have a Twitter, which is at defcon201NJ, and we're on defcon201 on pretty much everything else on hostux.social, which is a Mastodon instance, Instagram, GitLab. As someone screams, that's how you know you're in Jersey City, when there's just a random blood-curdling scream out of nowhere and just rap music, and then a fleet cars drive by. It's like, I'm shocked there's not a GTA Grand Theft Auto Jersey City edition yet. There kind of is with Marvel's Avenger game apparently, but we'll look into that at some other point. Anyhow, let's get on with this show. I don't know, I've been on a thing where so far, both my episodes have been short. So the last episode was kind of short because I was just doing a redux. This episode might kind of be short, but it's going to be jam-packed with a lot of information and content. So I'm excited about this. But what is this show? This show is known as Crypto Barons, or as I like to call it. This is where we study various blockchain and blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies. But while we do sometimes get a little bit into like the market values and sort of the communities around them, we try to avoid like the markets, the investments, the snake oil salesman stuff, unless it's a scam. We're going to have an entire episode on just scams and hacks in the very near future. So cheers to that episode, to future me. But yes, we sort of like to look at how blockchains are set up and how the different blockchains, platforms, and wallets are coded, what techniques that they use, what sort of math that they use to keep everything secure, how can it go all wrong, where can they improve. And of course, me hopelessly trying to run code and running into the problem that anyone has when they try to run code, which is no one appeases the demo gods, and then the demo gods crap all over you. I honestly don't know how NCommander does it half the time, but then again, he's a more knowledgeable hacker than I am in terms of tinkering with code like that. So we will be getting into a little bit of code, but this is an episode that I've been really excited that I've been wanting to do. Also to note, I didn't have time for this, but in future Crypto Barons episodes, there will be, I'm trying to make a scroll bar like on the top of the screen, or a rotating image that shares like our wallet addresses and QR codes. We're probably going to have that by the next episode. And the next episode of Crypto Barons, even though we haven't gone through this, we do second and fourth Saturday of every month. So the next one will be the 26th, same time, same place. But if you do want to donate some cryptocurrency to us, and we use it as a group thing, it will help future Crypto Barons episodes and us getting like new locks and camera equipment. I eventually want to get a halo light and everything. Please let us know, and I'll put our receive address in the chat. But the other thing I want to go to before I get into this is hello out there on Twitch, DLive, and YouTube. I put the food back there. There we go. Down my gullet. Drinks to food down the gullet. If you do like this show, and you're going to like future shows, which I will get into in a little bit, because we do have, it's not just our meetings once a month, we have an assortment of shows that happen weekly or bi-weekly. You can hit follow, like, share, and subscribe on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube. And as tradition in Crypto Barons, at the end of this episode, if you are on DLive and you are still hanging around, we are going to hit that lemon bucket and distribute some lemons. And the really cool thing is that finally the economy on my end in particular is kind of kicking in. So I should be able to, in the very near future, front load the lemons bucket. And instead of just a couple of lemons that everyone gets on DLive, you get a ton of lemons that you'll be able to distribute. Now, you might sound like I'm crazy of what are these lemons. DLive is a streaming platform just like Twitch and YouTube, and we covered it on episode 3 of here on Crypto Baron. So if you're confused about that, at the end of the stream, go to YouTube in particular. There should be an archive of that stream on there, so go check that out. But anyhow, oh, and if you do follow us on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube, as I'm going to keep mentioning, we now have it so that notifications pop up on all 3 platforms. So if you subscribe to us on YouTube, or follow us on Twitch, or follow us on DLive, or send us lemons on DLive, we will get pop-up notifications for those with like a little cool sound and everything. The most common one is Hack the Planet, which I have it now synced to the pop-up notification, and we like to cheer our audience on. Also, a note for all the people currently in chat, thank you for watching the show. We love lurkers. You know, if you're not talking, that means you're probably listening or doing other things one-handed. But I do like talking with the chat, so if you have a question about anything that I'm saying about the current topic, or you want to know a bit about my background, or hacking, or more details of the upcoming meeting, or blockchain, this is a beautiful blockchain. I keep forgetting the person, because I've met them before, who sold, this is G.I. Jack's thing. It's an actual cinder block on a chain, blockchain, haha. And it's really well crafted. Like this is like the real shit right here. But I can't speak today. I'm gonna hydrate. By the way, the stream is not sponsored by the drink I'm drinking. In fact, none of these streams are sponsored. If you are interested in it, we are not sellouts, but please message us if you're interested in like sending us some goodies and stuff to do on air, like locks or cryptocurrencies or whatever. But I digress. We will get those notifications, and if you have any questions about what I'm saying about today's topic, or about my crazy hair, or the actual blockchain I'm wearing, or anything, please let me know in chat. Otherwise, keep watching, learning, and listening, because that's all we really expect. That's like the core of the hacker method. I'd be shocked how many people, like, they have Geetra on their freaking laptops and OSINT models and Mandrake and crap like that, but none of them question anything, and then they wonder why they fail at hacking. And I mean, part of it too is that you're going to fail at hacking. If you ever watch this show, we fail, particularly running the programs all the time. The key is to fail and then learn what the mistake was, so not only do you not repeat the mistake, but sometimes you can even make it better. So without further ado, let's kind of get on to business, and we will get on to our main topic today, which is going to be about ZeroNet. You may have heard of it, you may have not heard of it. Every time people bring up dark nets and dark web and alternative networks, as opposed to alternative facts, which basically run this country now, unfortunately, ZeroNet is rarely brought up, which sucks because I actually think it's a really cool concept. I've been using it for like the past couple of years, and I've just gotten really cool stuff from it. And we also have some really cool announcements around that, as well as the cryptocurrency we're going to look at that works in conjunction with ZeroNet called Namecoin. But let's get into some house cleaning here. So if you're very familiar with any of my shows, you know what's going to happen next. Shrinkage. Eventually I'm going to get a dual camera set up, so that way I don't have to shrink myself and it just flips. But in the meantime, we're going to do this in the most bootleg possible. So here we go. Okay, that should be a decent size. That's what she said. I'm going to pop myself here on the upper right corner and make myself just a smidge bigger. You know, it's like just putting the tip in. There we go. So now that we have that, let's get to some browser action here. So this is our website. I mean, it's obviously a website. This is our website. It's DEFCON 201. We're probably going to finally kill... Well, here's the debate. We're probably going to finally... We were definitely going to finally kill the rainbow this month on the on our banner, because I like the rainbow. I mean, duh. But that was for when we had this amazing queer LGBTQ plus ally meetup theme in the past, and just like someone who puts up Christmas decorations and leaves them all year round, we've had this going for a while now. But the funny thing, this is the funny thing, because we're going to update this in a couple of days. The rainbow theme kind of, in a retro way, fits with what our month's meeting is going to be, because we're going to update this main page in a moment. But if you go to our news section, this will take us to the Medium blog. And of course, I'm streaming and I didn't preload this, so it's going to take a while. We do have our next meeting. Shut up. Our next meeting details for September. Our next meeting's going to be on September 18th. It's going to go from 4 p.m. To now 7:40 p.m. is physically when the venue is going to close down, because we will have limited seating at our venue called Subculture. They're an amazing sandwich shop that really puts up with a lot of our crap, and they have awesome affordable sandwiches the size of your head, and they have which there'll be one running. They have this one backup running Raspberry Pi arcade machines that we've helped done maintenance on, giant projection TV screen which we will show the live stream on physically there. It's really awesome, and normally that's where our meetings are. It's this whole big thing, but thanks to COVID and that no one wants to wear a mask, and right now the West Coast is on fire and the East Coast is underwater, and I hate everyone. We've been doing this remotely, but because New Jersey was the goodest boy, we are slowly reopening, so now we have indoor dining and less restrictions on it than New York does. Like right now, everyone in New Jersey's fine. We're literally just waiting for some a-hole from Pennsylvania or Florida or like Staten Island or something to show up and reinfect everyone. So that's our concern right now. But there will be limited seating at Subculture. They're located on 260 Newark Ave. One of these days, we're going to stick an extra O on the end of the 260, so it reads 2600. Ha ha ha. And it's going to start, the stream and the meeting's going to start at 4 p.m. The in-person stuff's going to end at 7:40 p.m. And these is Eastern Standard Time for all those internationally. You're going to go in. So you can go in, play a little bit of the Raspberry Pi arcade machine, watch the stream, eat sandwiches, both indoor and outdoor. Although outdoor, you're going to have to watch the stream on your phone. We're going to try to have some projection or TV there, but we'll see how it goes. The key is that it is limited. I think our max limit's going to be 20 people, both in and outdoors combined. And you have to wear a mask, and you have to practice actual social distancing. If you are running low on masks, we do have a bunch of, I don't have them right here, they're floating around the background, but we do have disposable masks, and we do have wipes and stuff, as well as the venue. It's really accessible. You take Grove Street path from Newark, which will lead you to the rest of New Jersey, or from Manhattan, or anywhere else in New York, down to Grove Street Station, walk or wheel up 5 blocks. They have a little ramp for you to get inside if you want to go inside. It's really, they're just an awesome venue, and I can't thank them enough. But we do have a meeting, and we're going to get to our main topic in a moment, but I just want to get the meeting out of the way. So our meeting is a topic I've been wanting to do for a while, because if you're familiar with our logo, you'll notice that there's probably something different here. Yes, the New Jersey between the N and the 2 is slightly smaller. No, there's a giant apple in the background instead of the usual bell from the old the Bell Atlantic Telephone Company that is part of our heritage, which is why we flaunt it in our logo. We've been wanting to do an Apple themed meeting forever. I think I conceived of this like December of last year, and I thought we might have to delay it to early next year, but it turns out September has been perfect timing for everything. So we have this jam-packed meeting, both in person and live stream. We called it Egg Freckles because, well, look up Egg Freckles if you don't get the joke. And this is going to be real quick. I'm not going to go over every single detail, but we're going to be going through a lot of stuff here. We're going to have a pre-show where we get to see the Fifth Hope keynote by Steve Wozniak, or at least part of it. We couldn't show it in full, not just because of the length of it, because it's pretty long, just like Woz. But they had a complication during the Hackers on Planet Hope convention at the Fifth Hope in 2004, where they lost, like, at least audio-wise, like the last third of the speech in terms of the audio video. I think they restored the full audio later, but So we're only going to show like 40 or 50 minutes of it. Then we're going to get right into business. There's going to be a short talk on Mac gaming by Mr. Macwright. Thomas Reed's going to do this amazing history and introduction of Mac malware and how it's going to be going, because malware is a big thing in the Mac world. And then we're going to focus on a specific security topic by, and I hope I pronounce his name right. He's probably going to yell at me next week on September 18th, starting at 4 p.m. to 7:40 p.m. Named Washikt. I think that's how you pronounce this, because I'm half Polish, so I'm used to pronouncing Polish names, but it's not a guarantee. But he's going to focus on a very specific thing by abusing XPC in macOS for the app function, and then techniques on how to secure it. Then N Commander, you might remember him when he's not turning into Dr. Scratch and Sniff, both physically and mentally, from Animaniacs. He's going to do a retro deep dive, but he's going to do a special one where he's going to look at Macintosh JS, which is essentially macOS 8.1 in its own Electron container. So it combines it combines JavaScript with macOS 8. This is a recipe for okay. And then I have a quick talk about how you can sideload iOS applications. And funny enough, I found out how to do this thanks to a BDMS website. And then our final one, which we're going to try to make happen, but it's just, this is the main reason why I wanted to do this, is we have a longtime friend of mine, a friend of a bunch of ours at DC201, and he used to live here, and he's still, I think, at least an honorary member, because we haven't written it in paper yet, but he's known as Neo, spelled Xio. And I titled this talk, Old Man Yells at iCloud, and he's just going to go, he's been using Mac products since the Stone Age, aka ever since he was born, and I want him to do a rant, because he always bitches about Apple products, whether back in the day, present, their terrible future, why they abandon things that work, why do they promote things that don't work, and all of that. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be our meeting. We're going to run that past 7:40. So it's going to be like the venue physically is going to close, but we're going to run the stream until we're bored and then turn it off. So that's going to be fun. And yep, it's all this. So you go defcon201.org and you click on the news section. That brings us to our Medium blog. And that's all of our meeting details. So now that we have that on the way, I'm going to do a quick rehydration, and we're going to talk about today's topic. And again, I hope everyone watching this is watching and learning. If you have any questions what I'm saying, if I'm talking too fast, if you can't hear me on the stream, if the stream sounds are too loud, which sometimes happens because I'm constantly adjusting sliders, please let me know. And if you like the current show and you want to get notifications for our upcoming meeting, oh, and I just remembered something. Let me click forward on this. If you like the current, this show Crypto Barons, or you want to check out some of the other shows in the future, you want to see the meeting next week on September 18th from 4 p.m. to 7:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or the other thing I'm about to bring up, you can hit like, share, subscribe, click that bell on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube, and we see notifications for those, and we cheer people on when they do that. And if you're on DLive at the end, no matter if anyone's watching or not, we will dump lemons, and we're going to make more of a big deal about that in the future. So the one thing I forgot is there's going to be one more important thing. So Tim Apple, because the world's terrible, and we already decided on the September 18th date way before they announced this, because we host third Friday of every month. We were just trying to figure out the times, and we already had the content confirmed. On September 15th, they're going to hold, so let's see, 11, 12, at 1 p.m. our time, an event on new Apple products and services. So on September 15th, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have a little bit of a pre-show and talk about what we think, or at least what I think, because I'm going to be mainly streaming what the event's going to be about. And then we're going to watch the event live, and we're going to Waldorf and Statler, Mystery Science Theater 3000, TMZ for you youngins, pick apart this stream from a hacker's perspective. Hopefully there'll be some stuff that we cheer on. I suspect that we're going to have a lot of BS we're going to have to address because Apple has a lot of BS. But that's before our meeting. That's going to be the thing. So we're going to actually watch the official Apple event and share our commentary on it, kind of like how we've covered hacker conventions in the past. And then on September 18th, so 3 days later, we are going to have our meetup from 4 p.m. to 7:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I just thought I wanted to bring that up because I've got to bring that up. So let's go on to today's episode. As we noted in the tweet, we are covering ZeroNet, and we're going to be on DLive, Twitch, and YouTube. And there's a cool way you're going to see us through Tor. I might bring that up in a little later. But, so I've been talking about it. What is ZeroNet? Enough procrastination, time for emancipation, proclamation, separation, devastation, Team Rocket blasting off again. ZeroNet. So, this is one of the major dark webs that exist. It's funny because, again, I feel like most people don't bring this up, and I find the technologies in this really awesome, and it has its own community and has a decent following and everything, and so I thought I would explore it for an episode of Crypto Barons. And I already have a lot of stuff plopped out later this year, too. So pretty much have the next 3 episodes down lock. So you can install this on multiple different platforms. You can install it on Windows, Mac, or Linux. And if you are familiar with a darknet, it's the second biggest one technically, although I think it's losing ground recently, called I2P. And I already hear people's aneurysms going off in their brain, or their tumors that are called I2P just getting bigger. GI Jack. That you will know that similar to Tor, although Tor now does it more in the background because of the nature of their browser, you have to like activate I2P as like its own separate routing node. And then you use a normal browser, similar to non-Tor browser use. You configure it to match ZeroNet, and then it runs. Now, there's a couple of unique features that not only separate this from I2P, which honestly I feel like it's its nearest cousin, but also the Tor browser itself that makes it a very unique dark web experience. So, we're gonna go into the last case, ease of use last, but it's the reason what makes it unique is from the 2 things that it is based on, and that is they say Bitcoin cryptography. What they mean is cryptocurrency, cryptography with cryptocurrency, and the BitTorrent network. Now, funny enough, if I remember correctly how this ZeroNet came to be, and we're going to skip ahead here. Speaking of hackers on planet Earth, there was a talk done at the 11th Hope in 2016 called the Owner's Library. And there was a proposal by Occupy Paul Street, which is aka Paul Kenfield, which is, by the way, Occupy Paul Street. That's just such a great handle. Where he made a proposal for having a digital library with decentralized administration. I realize I kind of flip-flopped the 2 things, but you can do these in any order. So, and he had this proposal of essentially manipulating a Bitcoin so it actually stores real data, that instead of just storing the hash data, which is pretty much all Bitcoin really has, and most cryptocurrencies, all they have is that, as we said on the first episode of Crypto Barons, there's the current hash of that block, and it has a copy of the previous hash all the way up to the Genesis block, so that way you need the previous block in order to identify the current block, and vice versa, hence why it's a chain with blocks in it. But instead of the blocks just having those hashes, to actually have data and hold data, in which that case, due to the nature of the way blockchain technologies work, with everyone having a copy of the ledger and stuff, you would essentially have a library where there is no central ownership. It would be super decentralized and mostly democratic. I'm going to skip around his presentation, but I want you to look at this. He's going to be manipulating Bitcoin in real time, and we're going to show you how this relates back to ZeroNet. So I'm going to shut up now and let the man speak here. So give me a moment. And again, if you have any questions about what I'm talking about or comments on my shirt or the blockchain itself or anything about ZeroNet, please let me know in chat. If not, relax and let's hear what he has to say. And note, we are going to be skipping around pieces of this video. We're not going to watch the whole thing because not only is the video really long, but you only need a few bits of pieces of information from it. So here we go.
Excited to be here at Hope to give a talk. It's a huge honor for me. So my name is Paul Kernfeld, and I'm a software engineer. I'm interested in peer-to-peer systems, especially Bitcoin. So this talk is going to be about a public digital library that I designed and built. It's designed to be resistant to censorship, and I actually have a working prototype. This is my first public presentation of the working code, so I hope you like it. So for you, you're probably going to get the most out of this if you're interested in software, but you shouldn't need too much background. And I'm intentionally going to move really fast here. And, you know, I'd rather get you excited about this. And, you know, maybe you won't understand 100%, but I'd like you to leave the talk with some, you know, some questions about what's going on. So, hey, that's from the internet, but yeah. Sure. So what do I mean when I say digital library? For my personal definition, really it's a searchable repository of files. And there's two things that you should be able to do. One thing is it allows a user to find files. And the second thing is it allows a user to retrieve files. Pretty simple. So some example of digital libraries that you've probably heard of. Pretty much, you know, there's trillions of digital libraries out there. One that's quite interesting to me is the combination of the Pirate Bay and BitTorrent. That's quite relevant to this talk. And so, you know, whether it's Wikipedia, YouTube, or BitTorrent, you need some way to determine what content goes into the library and what content doesn't. The typical way this is done, maybe you have users who can, you know, add, modify, or delete files. Moderators can ban or block users. Administrators can hire and fire moderators. And finally, the government makes sure that administrators are following laws. So this is what I'm calling a chain of command system. And, you know, for most purposes, you're probably on the internet because you want to look at some videos of cats. So generally, this works pretty good for everybody. In some cases, though, it doesn't work so great. There's some things that governments like to restrict the sharing of. And, you know, whether it's criticism of the government or intellectual property, you know, you probably have your own personal opinion on which of these things should and should not be legal to share. But I think probably everybody in this room is going to agree that you should be able to, for example, criticize a government. So really your personal definition of the word censorship is going to vary. But what all of these different things have in common is they require humans to make policy decisions on which kinds of these things you can and cannot share. Come together when you see the design. So the first issue that I've been thinking about is, you know, there's kind of two ways to fight censorship as far as I'm concerned. You can hide. That's what the Tor network is all about. It disguises the physical location of your computer. And also, you can replicate information. And the idea is if you make it easy to replicate information from place to place, you can replicate that information faster than the government can take it down. And these two models they're each good for different kinds of situations. What I'm going to talk about today is focused on replication, not on hiding. So one really interesting type of network is darknet. Basically, it's friend to friend. You only connect to people you know, and you need an invite to join. And for a lot of applications, this is a really good solution because it tends to keep governments out. But on the other hand, it also tends to keep everyone out. So that makes it very secure. But it's also a little bit less accessible than a system that you can get to publicly. So today I'm going to be talking about a non-darknet solution. I want a library that everybody can read from. When you're designing any new system, including a P2P system, you have to think about how the system's going to be organized. So a chain of command is a really easy way to organize your system, and it's easy to program and enforce the rules. So you might have one master server controlling the other computers, and you might have one human at the top of your organization. Of course, this creates a problem for certain kinds of networks because you have a single point of failure. If you can take out the node at the top of the hierarchy, then you can take down the whole network. So when we're talking about a physical system, probably the easiest example of this is police find the server room where the system is hosted, and they go shut it down. And this, of course, happens pretty frequently. To solve this problem with the physical system, people have created really interesting peer-to-peer networks whereby instead of having a single server in the middle of the network, the different participants in the network connect directly to one another. And this is good because if you take out one participant, the fabric of the network stays intact. Nutella, BitTorrent, and Bitcoin all do this. And I'm not going to go into too much detail on this because it's sort of a solved problem as far as I'm concerned. But if you're interested at all in distributed systems, there's a lot of really cool stuff to read about. So human organizations are a little bit like computer systems in that chain of command structure is really common. A lot of businesses and militaries and governments are all structured like this. Of course, for an organization that wants to dissent, this can be pretty tough. For example, Julian Assange of WikiLeaks is currently hiding in refuge, and the guys from the Pirate Bay got jail time and really huge fines. So what I'm talking about is applying this principle from physical systems to ownership. So the idea here is instead of having a single owner who has the keys to turn off the system, have a lot of owners of the system. So this is, I would say, a partially solved problem. Darknets can do this pretty well, but they require invites. And BitTorrent can do this well, but it's not searchable. So those of you who have used it might say, well, I've definitely searched for torrents before, right? And that's kind of where the Pirate Bay comes in. So the way BitTorrent works, it's a system for sharing individual files, but it doesn't include a way to discover new files. So you can think of it as each file exists independently in BitTorrent. So what the Pirate Bay and a lot of other sites have done is add search functionality on top of this. So BitTorrent takes care of the retrieving the file, and the Pirate Bay takes care of searching for the file. The Pirate Bay actually is succeeding in a lot of ways, but going to jail shouldn't really be part of your site administrator's job description. The Pirate Bay is to be clear, a site that's run by a small number of people. So the question here then is how is it that BitTorrent can be ownerless, whereas the Pirate Bay needs an owner? So as far as I'm concerned, this difference is all about the difference between static content and dynamic content. So for static content, a good example of that is just a book. You know, Moby Dick is Moby Dick. The content of the book is not going to change over time. I don't know if, I think a lot of you know what a card catalog is, but you know, it's the thing at a library that keeps track of which books are there and where they all are, right? So the card catalog of a library is what I would call dynamic content. The library is always going to be adding new books, removing books, or even moving books around. So in that case, you need to be able to change the content. So BitTorrent is a little bit like a book in this case, and the Pirate Bay is like a card catalog. So for static content, there's some really cool ways to share the data without requiring an owner. A common way to do this is called content hashing. So you take your content, run it through a cryptographic hash function, and that will produce a short binary string called a hash. So you can think of this hash in a lot of cases as a link to the content. The hash is a constant size, and really importantly, it's difficult to reverse. So in order to meet this concept, designing this system, and this is called Exandria, the system that I've built. So in order to meet the requirements, there's kind of three things that I'm thinking about. We need to store the data for the system, we need to be able to exchange it, and we need some way to determine ownership of the data. That is, how do you decide what data does and does not go into the library? So I'm going to explain each of these three things in order. So the general structure that I've got here is there's a central index for the library. Inside the index are a bunch of, each entry in the index is a pair of two things. So one is a human readable name for the file, and the other thing is a content hash of the file, and that is basically a link that you can use to retrieve the full file. So owners of the system will be able to make contributions to the index. And the index is more or less the new and interesting thing that I'm doing. So you can think of the Pirate Bay is a centralized index of files, and I want to make a decentralized index. So one thing to note is every participant in the network is going to keep a copy of the entire index, but you don't need to download every file. You only download the files that you're interested in. So the way the data is going to flow here, you type in search string, say kittens, and you search your index. You do that locally on your computer, and that will give you a list of name and hash pairs. And then given one of those hash pairs, that identifies a file that you can then download from the network. So now I'm going to talk about a data structure called an append-only feed. And even for people who don't like hearing the phrase data structure, I hope you'll be able to understand this. So part of what makes it so great is its simplicity and elegance. The way an append-only feed works, you take your data and you have it broken up into blocks. And the only way that you can modify the data in an append-only feed is you can add a new block onto the end. So you're never allowed to modify an existing block, and you're never allowed to delete an existing block. And the way I've chosen to represent the data in my system is as a set of different append-only feeds. So the first thing at the top in orange, that's the identity feed. So the idea here is anybody can sign up for a new identity by adding an entry onto the identity feed. And then each identity has their own metadata feed. And the metadata feed consists of a bunch of name hash pairs and the metadata feeds are what make up the index. So, and then obviously the metadata feeds have links to the actual files in the network. So we have a bunch of append-only feeds, but we need a way to implement each feed. So now I'm going to talk about Bitcoin for a reason that will become apparent very soon. One really common question about Bitcoin is, what is it? Is it a payment system or a commodity or a currency? Is it a network? It is all of those things. But today I'm going to talk about Bitcoin as a database. There's this thing called the Bitcoin blockchain. You've probably at least heard that term. And that's an append-only feed of financial transactions. So each block in the Bitcoin blockchain has a bunch of financial transactions inside of it. And the way it kind of works is anybody can submit a transaction to the network, and Bitcoin miners can append new blocks to the blockchain. And there's a new block about every 10 minutes. So one question about the Bitcoin blockchain is it possible to store non-financial data inside the blockchain? So I've shown up here an example of how to do that in a human-readable way. This is a valid Bitcoin address. It says, 1, meet me at the drop-off at 9 p.m. XXXXYMHEM8. So obviously, I've hidden some sort of non-financial message inside of this Bitcoin address. So by sending Bitcoins to an address like this one, you can encode information inside of the Bitcoin blockchain. As you might guess, this is not a particularly efficient way to encode that information. So there are features of the Bitcoin protocol that let you store information in Bitcoin transactions pretty efficiently. And what I'm most interested in is something called op return, which basically says everything after this is just raw data. So another important question is it ethical to store data in the Bitcoin blockchain? Some people would say no. Bitcoin was designed specifically as a payment system, and if you're storing other non-financial data in the Bitcoin blockchain, you're cluttering it up for everybody else. Some other people might say yes. Bitcoin's code is its contract, and it does include these features designed for storing arbitrary data. And another thing is, I'll happily pay to store my data in the Bitcoin blockchain, and as far as I'm concerned, it's none of your business what data I want to store there. So obviously, I am one of the people who thinks that the answer is yes, although with an important caveat, which is I think it's important to be nice and try to use the least resources possible. So the thing that we needed was a world writable place to store our identities, and a great solution is the Bitcoin blockchain. Anybody can write to it. It's a very robust network with a good track record, and it also has good spam resistance capabilities that I'll talk about in a second. For many reasons, though, if you want to have a library of files, you just can't practically fit that inside of the Bitcoin blockchain because space is limited and the efficiency would be abysmal. So the vast majority of the data for this network is going to be stored off of the Bitcoin blockchain. So back again to append-only feeds, which I obviously love. Since each peer has each identity has its own append-only feed, in order to exchange data between two append-only feeds, the algorithm is really simple. All you have to do is basically copy in the missing blocks, and you're done. So for each per identity feed, the metadata feed, you can replicate that feed between all users' computers in the network. And you can also use a really similar protocol to exchange static files as well. What I'm using to actually implement this are two libraries called HyperCore and HyperDrive. And if you're interested in distributed systems or algorithms, I would definitely recommend checking those out. So a swarm is a group of computers that are all connected to each other, that are all interested in the same piece of data. So the different swarms that are going on, every node is going to become part of the index swarm, and these nodes will exchange the central index of the library. And each node can also join one or more file swarms. You just join the swarm for the files that you're interested in. And finally, every node is going to be part of the Bitcoin swarm because you need to access the identity data stored in the Bitcoin blockchain. So to recap this, we got our identity feed on top. That's implemented by storing identities inside of Bitcoin transactions. And for each of the individual feeds, that's implemented with HyperCore. So now the kind of tricky problem is determining ownership of the library. Who gets to decide what goes into it and what doesn't? So I'm going to talk about a couple different strategies. One strategy that you could try is anarchy. Anybody can, because either it'll work and that'll be exciting, or show a live demo of the system. And that's going to be awesome because either it'll work and that'll be exciting, or it won't work and that'll be fun. One second. So this is the terminal. Probably a lot of you have seen it, but basically it's a way to view files and run commands on my computer. So first off, I'm going to show a list of commands that are available. So these are the sort of different mini programs in the network that I've provided for people to interact with the network. As you can see, this is not yet at the user interface stage that I had hoped for. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to print out my feed. All right, so I've got 3 items here. So at the top, you see the name of the feed. And then you also see I've got README in here. I've got the book Beowulf. And I have the book Ulysses. So what I want to do now is I'm going to add a new book to my feed. I'll add the book Dracula. So basically, this tells me what feed I'm appending to, the name of the book, and it gives me a content hash of the book. So yes, I do want to write it. So now I'm going to just print out my feed again. OK, cool. So you can see at the bottom, you might not be able to see depending on what row you're in, but at the bottom now we have Dracula. So now I'm going to run a script that serves the files. So that means it makes them available to other peers who want to get a hold of them. So now I'm going to go into this other tab, and I'm going to run a different peer. Of course, normally you would run the peers on different computers. It's much, well, you know, that actually does work. I have one. I have a server running on AWS with a peer on it. but it's easier to demo this way. The first, okay, so what I did there was I tried to run the same peer twice, which you can't do. So what this does, that's my firewall, by the way, because it needs to accept incoming connections. So what it does here is it looks through the transactions in the Bitcoin blockchain. When it finds an identity, it joins the swarm for that identity. And then when it's in the identity swarm, it gets the metadata. So, okay, you can see now it sees the file Dracula. So now I'm going to run another command to retrieve the file Dracula. Oh. It didn't work. So I think I probably have my timeout set too low. Maybe I can fix that. I also might be able to get another item from that feed, perhaps Beowulf. Is that how you spell Beowulf? Oof. Oh, that's because the name of Beowulf is ridiculous. Yeah, that's the, yeah, seriously.
It's right on the first line.
Spellcheck JS is coming up.
Very nervous. Let's hope this works, right? All right, well, all right, I'll try the simplest one, which is the README. Okay, finally, it works. Great. So, yeah, I definitely need to work on those flakiness issues. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you guys the README that it downloaded. So that goes to this folder called Archives. I can just open that in the Finder. Yeah, you can definitely read that, right? So you've got this folder, readme.md, and then the README files inside of it. So open that up, and there's the Exandria README file that I shared from my computer back to my computer, but different peers on my computer. So yeah, that's enough of that, right?
Get my mic back on. And so that was the owner's library. I promise that will probably be the only video in here that we have. So, oh, the fan. There we go. Now you can hear me. Sorry about that. I'm trying to keep cool in here. So yeah, anyone that's in chat right now, basically welcome to Crypto Barons. We are a show about covering blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies as technologies, as opposed to like markets and snake oil salesman practices. I'm SidePoc. I'm one of the co-founders of DEF CON 201. We are a hacker group from Jersey City, New Jersey. We're going to be streaming the Apple event on September 15th and on September 18th. From 4 p.m. to 7:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will have our monthly meeting that will be live streamed that will all be Apple themed. So not eating apples like Macintosh, iPhones, iWatches, I sneeze, I fuck, that sort of thing. So if you are interested in any of those, you can go to our, the other way, you can go to our website, defcon201.org, or find us all the social media at the bottom. If you're also interested in this sort of topic that we're going to get into, no more videos, you can hit that bell, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube. And at the end of the stream on Twitch, we're going to raid someone else's channel. On YouTube, YouTube. On DLive, we're going to distribute whatever lemons we have, which is we're going to make an occurring thing. And if you decide to follow us, I can get notifications from all three, so I will see the pop-up on there and cheer you on. If you're learning and you just want to lurk, that's perfectly fine. I do my own lurking, mainly at bars and conventions. Wow, that was such a pre-COVID statement. Anyhow, but if you have any questions, if I'm going too fast, if you can't hear me, if the stream is too loud, etc., please let me know in chat. Love talking with you. Love talking with you. Blocks and hashes. So. So he kind of summed up what basically ZeroNet is, because what they did at ZeroNet was they took this entire concept of using the blockchain as a verification system, like the way Dewey Decimal System is used in the library, or like how TCP/IP is used as addresses, as like a database, like ICANN, and then attaching data to that and making it completely decentralized, not because of the nature of the blockchain, but that instead of streaming the files through an interpreter, you are downloading them. So basically, the chain, it finds it in the chain, and then it finds another peer and it downloads them to you. Hence, using the two things that ZeroNet, which I'm going to click back to, is made out of, which is BitTorrent. And they say Bitcoin cryptography. What they mean is blockchain technology. So let's get a more deep dive in that. Also, they have their own GitHub here, and this is actually where you get ZeroNet. I also want to know his key difference. You notice how he was programming in Java, and this is the same problem in my opinion with I2P. It's like I don't particularly hate Java, but every time I have a program that doesn't work, it's always because there's something wrong in Java. ZeroNet is made in Python, which means it honestly runs a lot better. That's not me saying a Python snob, because Python people also drive me crazy, but for different reasons. And they have different utilities, but you can go to their GitHub. We also, if you're on Twitch, if you scroll below the live stream, we have a GitHub portal. We have hosted ZeroNet's GitHub on here, so you can click that without leaving the stream and look through all the files. And this is the other thing about it, is that it's completely open source, so you can read all the documentation and the different types of plugins and the data for those plugins. That wasn't a particularly big file. And audit that yourself. And again, this is also why, and you can also get pull from that and merge and fork, and because first there's spooning and then there's forking. And they also tell you how to run it in their documentation, stuff like that. We're gonna come back to it. As I said here, their kind of list here is they believe in open, free, and uncensored network communication. No single point of failure. No hosting costs. That's a little bit of a thing, but we'll get into that. Near impossible to shut down, fast, and works offline. So their features is you have real-time updated sites. You have a very unique domain system that we're going to get into in a moment. Easy setup, which I agree with. You can clone websites. It's honestly the best passwordless thing that I've seen so far in terms of example, using BIP32 based authentication. It's built in It's with Python, with SQL, with peer-to-peer data synchronization. Promises good anonymity, TSL encrypted connections, UPnP port openings that are automatic, so you don't have to do the crazy configuration like what you have to do with Tor outside of everything with the Tor browser. And we just got a follow here. Thank you, Jin Nugan. I hope I pronounced your name right, for following us. I don't know if I should start differentiating them, whether they come from Twitch or YouTube. I'll make that modification before a meeting. But thank you for the follow, and I hope you check us out when we stream the Apple event, as well as our meeting. As well as we also have a ton of other shows, like when N Commander wakes up, we have Hack Alt N Commander. You're going to probably see him at our meeting dissecting Macintosh JS, and our co-founder G.I. Jack has an awesome show called Archvile Linux Perspective, where he looks at Arch Linux, and my other show is Master of Unlocking, where we do lockpicking. But let's focus with this crypto barons. Let's get into the blockchain. So let's get into again the two main ways this is used, as the guy said, because they basically took his research and made it into a more working thing, and you're going to see how much it's improved. So like as they said, they use BitTorrent. Now for those who have been living under a rock, and I also, because it's kind of different now, because I know a lot of people, or even when they're really tech savvy, they still use like they use Spotify and other sort of thing, and like Netflix and stuff like that, because we've literally got that point, except for Google Stadia, who is trying to convince people to just stream games and not own them, and that's a whole thing. I grew up under BitTorrent, although it didn't look like this and didn't look professional like this, because if I remember correctly, the people who run BitTorrent now, and you'll see a hint of it why, yeah, the people who run BitTorrent now is Justin Sun and everyone else that runs the Tron coin, which we covered on our episode about DLive, because he purchased and runs DLive. So you actually have to use his certain thing about this on DLive. So this should be familiar with you for people who are on DLive and also saw the episode 3 of Crypto Band. And basically what it is that BitTorrent is a peer-to-peer system. You have a client and you find magnetic links to link to. I'm not going to, even though it exists, I'm not going to bring up Pirate Bay and stuff. I'm describing this so that way the FBI doesn't like crash through our roof and we get shut down and everything. Although that would be entertaining, I'm pretty sure, for everyone on the stream. If you have any questions, if I've ever been raided by the FBI, ask in chat. So you have your client, and when you click on the link for a file, it shows up, and then it connects to that peer directly, and either brings the file to you or sends a file out. And when you have a file, by default, particularly BitTorrent and other torrenting systems, a lot of times when you download a file, it'll automatically start looking for other peers. So when they connect, they also might be downloading from your repository system of the stuff you've already downloaded. Hence, it creates this decentralized net of files. So as long as there's at least 1 to 2 people hosting a file, that file's there. Meaning, if I'm hosting a file on like I don't know, with like cryptozoological proof that Central New Jersey exists. Let's do that. So I have a file about that Central New Jersey actually exists, and of course the government does not want everyone to know that, because it would cause cats and dogs living together, and Bernie Sanders will become president and everything. So they come and they raid our building, and they take my computer, throw it out the window, put a giant magnet over it, thermite it, and everything, which probably will improve the computer. And they would not have destroyed the file if I downloaded it on BitTorrent, because that means there's other people who have that file. So they would literally have to track down and kill every single person who's ever hosted that file. Hence, BitTorrent, along with places like the Pirate Bay, facilitate that philosophy that once you put something on the internet, it's on there forever. So if you ever share anything through the internet or upload to the internet, even if you think it's private or peer-to-peer, just act like you're putting it in public at all times. Like even on Tor, in my opinion, if you're doing anything with the internet, just assume that everyone can see you naked. So that's sort of that. But yeah, that's basically in a very quick, very bastardized nutshell what BitTorrent does. Now, this is the official BitTorrent like premium software for Windows and other platforms, so they do charge for it now. There's also a mobile client, and as I mentioned before, they also run DLive. So for all of you people on DLive who have DLive stream, and which by the way, you can also donate us the tokens on DLive, not just the lemons, but actual cryptocurrency tokens, and we're going to get into what those are in a moment. Yeah, you'll probably be very familiar if you earn money from DLive, because it uses BitTorrenting's system. And of course, there's open source independent privates, that too, but clients, there's transmissions, there's QTorrent, things like that. But funny, because we're crypto barons, you probably noticed that under all these listings, there's a thing listed called token. And because it's owned by Justin Sun and Tron, the big, very controversial thing that they've done is they've actually made a cryptocurrency out of BitTorrent called BitTorrent Token, or BTT. Again, if you use DLive, the way they pay out for viewers, like, you know how Twitch and you have to show government documents and they give you an actual like paycheck with like fiat money, DLive pays everyone out through BTTs. And it's kind of unique because since it's a cryptocurrency, not only are they not bound by really any country's laws, because then you'd have to exchange a BTT for something else, and not only which means they could send it everywhere, but not only can they send it, but people can individually send it. If you have a DLive and you set it up, you automatically have a BitTorrent token wallet. So you can actually send us BTTs in DLive if you're watching, if you have it, and we also have notifications for those. So if you feel very charitable, definitely send some our way. We appreciate that. Again, at the end, we're going to at least distribute some lemons. So I wanted to kind of bring that up. And what's kind of also unique about BTT, which is its original use outside of DLive, is basically they want to reward you for torrenting. Now, this is not a feature, or not a feature yet in ZeroNet. I'm just getting through this so that you have a background for when I keep saying BitTorrent, what it is. But I just wanted to do this a little aside. So what BitTorrent Token, every X amount of process that you, I think it's how many peers you source and how many peers you're connected to who are constantly downloading data that you are hosting in the decentralized network. And for every cycle, it pays out a certain BTT. So it's, again, like we said in the first episode about mining, what you're actually now doing with the official BitTorrent client is you are mining the BitTorrent token, or BTT, but instead of hooking up a giant GPU, it's not doing GPU or CPU mining. It's technically actually doing storage mining, which is you know, how much data you're sharing with everyone else, and it will reward you for that. So it has kind of a unique mining mechanism. It works on BitTorrent Web, uTorrent Classic, and uTorrent Web. And again, that's how they pay out, and you also can trade and stuff with DLive as it's listed here. And there's multiple exchanges. Is the exchange that I mainly use on there? No, it isn't, because my exchange is skeevy as heck. But yeah, that's kind of, you know, BitTorrent token's interesting, but I wanted to more focus on BitTorrent itself. It's a peer-to-peer download, client-to-client, peer-to-peer download file system. The next bit that it uses is, okay, so now we have a method to share files and store them, which is unique, is that, and we'll show this off, that in ZeroNet, when you visit a website, it downloads the entire website's contents to your machine, just like you would if you downloaded a BitTorrent file. So again, as long as there's one or two people hosting, your website theoretically can never get shut down off of ZeroNet. The other thing about that is that also means you can, which we'll show, not on stream because it'd be impossible to do, but if your computer goes offline, while it won't get any, like if they change the website and make updates, you won't get those updates. You will have a record of every single website you've ever visited through ZeroNet, and you are able to view all of those files, website pages, images, stuff like that, the code that's built on, because it's downloaded to your machine. So when you leave the website, it doesn't disappear. It's on your machine. When you revisit it, it just sees if there's any updates on the peer system, updates those if there's any, and then displays them. But when you go offline, like if I unplug this computer right now from the internet, and I say plug like we don't have wireless, and I try to go to Google, it will show me an error page. But if there was a Google mirror on ZeroNet and I did that, while I wouldn't be able to use the search function, I would be able to load the website in the browser as if it was connected. So, and the links will work and everything too. So that makes it unique, because again, it's BitTorrent. So now we have a method of hosting, but how do we do the DNS? How do we know who owns what websites and where they are in the network? Well, that's where, as they claim, the Bitcoin cryptography comes in. What they mean is they need a blockchain network. And the main backbone for the blockchain, it is based off of Bitcoin, and there's a unique thing to that I'm going to get to in a second. But I want to point out something else that it's mainly based on, which is Namecoin. So Namecoin basically was they took, remember the guy was researching, he says, yeah, I have to bastardize bitcoins, I have to basically kill them as a cryptocurrency in order to use them as data. Well, Namecoin's idea was, what if we just had a cryptocurrency that just did that on its own chain? And you could put any file you want on there, and basically is a name register for distributed files. And that's what Namecoin is. Namecoin, I think it does have a market value. Let's look at CoinGecko. So you can trade them as cryptocurrencies, kind of the same way, you know, websites are worth a money value. You can trade the DNS access to it, the domain names. You can do the same thing for Namecoin. So it's currently like 0.37 of a dollar. Let's see, what does that look in Bitcoin? It's like ridiculous. Yeah, it's 0.00003624, and it's gone up. And you can see there was a dip earlier, and then this is when I started coming in. Not that I changed the demo here, but just wanted to show what that is. So, Namecoin is one of the main ways that it knows where the different addresses are on ZeroNet. And what's fascinating about this, and why every time I do crypto barons, okay, let's see this one. Every time I do crypto barons, my nose goes crazy. Someone has like something in my nose, like a nanite or something like that. So anyhow, so what's really unique about ZeroNet is that when you run the client and you connect to ZeroNet, which is insanely simple. I've already pre-ran it, but if I showed you, you literally double click on it and there's no even setup. It just loads the page and then you can start clicking around. If I did that, you would hear a giant angry groan yell, like someone's like asshole fell out, and that would be G.I. Jack, because he's just going to be like, I so wish I2P was like this, because it's insanely easy to set up and do. That was one of their priorities. Basically, they want to have the ease of use of the Tor browser, but they wanted to have the better cryptographic and decentralization that I2P and like BitTorrent has, and that's where they came up with this. So what's neat is when you set up a ZeroNet, you can go into the options and you can generate an ID that's unique to you. So ZeroNet, the client itself, is the wallet, and all the URLs on ZeroNet are the actual addresses on the blockchain for ZeroNet, I think subsetted under Namecoin. And when you create a website, you generate a new block or wallet. It gives you a public key, and the public key is the URL of the website, and it generates a private key to validate it. So if you modify anything on the website, you have to put in your private key. If not, if it's on your local machine, it does it automatically. If it's remote, and we'll show that in a second, you actually have to have the private key, which is an issue we're trying to resolve here. But that's how that works. So you basically, when you surf ZeroNet, you are like looking at a blockchain inside the wallet. And anytime you do anything with the addresses, that's you moving around on the chain and accessing the data. The data that's pumped to your browser, that's downloaded to your machine and then pumped internally in your browser, is the actual BitTorrenting part. So it's downloading that data so you have it locally. So you can see between the cryptographic hash techniques of the chain to validate all the URLs, and I'm going to cover the camera again. The cryptographic chain to validate all the URLs. So between that, God, I'm disgusting. And the decentralization techniques of BitTorrent, how this is a very effective decentralized method of creating a darknet and making your stuff censorship resistant and resilient, because there are websites that haven't been updated for years on ZeroNet, but you can they still exist. Even if the owner takes his file off, there's other people still hosting it, so you can still access the website if you access the overall ZeroNet. It's pretty wild. And there's going to be and actually we're going to jump over, and we're going to we're going to look at ZeroNet, and we're going to kind of jump back and forth, and then basically we're done with this episode. So here's ZeroNet. When you load it up, this is what the client looks like. And if you look at the URL, we're on a localhost address, so it's 7.0.0-1, and then it automatically goes, in this case, to 43110. And here's the crazy part. I did not have to, normally you would have to, let's see if I can bring this, normally you have to go into options and like scroll all the way down and network settings and all of this. But you know, I didn't configure a proxy because it's using the BitTorrent network to do the actual data and using a blockchain to figure out where things are. You don't have to do, unlike Tor or I2P, any of that proxy configuration. It bypasses that because it's using a completely different system. So that's already unique. So all you have to do, which I can actually show, let's go back to this. If I open this in here, so I would click on, which I'm not going to do because I already have it running, ZeroNet, and then when I do that, boop, this page pops up. Like there's no configuring, you just do that, and everything that you need to do is in the actual browser window at Hello ZeroNet, aka your default page. And because of that, there's another very interesting thing you can do. So we're going to cover this next episode. We're going to cover this in October. So the first episode in October, which would be on October 10th, we're going to cover the dark web. I'm going to go through a very decently deep dive on not only how cryptocurrencies are used and make the backbone of the dark web, such as Tor and I2P, but also unique cryptocurrencies that work exclusively and are piped exclusively or have the options to be piped through Tor and I2P. So I will go in more depth here, but I kind of want to bring up Tor for something really specific here. Here we go. I don't know why it didn't do that. So this is the EFF guide of how Tor works. DEFCON 201 is a subset of is part of the Electronic Frontier Alliance, which itself is a subset of the Electronic Frontier Foundation. They are basically we're linked with a bunch of other activist groups to promote anti-surveillance practices and let people know when their digital rights are being abused and what they can do about it, like legally, technology-wise, how to better defend themselves from trackers and from governments and corporations and other disastrous people. If you want to know more details about us, you can go to EFF.org, or and I'm going to actually jump back to our website. There we go. You can find out if you go to, because this will be important later. Remember how this website's laid out, because we're going to make a cool announcement at the end. You can go through here in our partners section and click on the Electronic Frontier Alliance, which is EFF.org/fight, and can read all about it. And if you click on Find Allies, we are in the listing. We are, let's see, we're in Eastern. And there we are, DEFCON 201. It links directly to our website. So the CSL certificate thing. We're still trying to figure out that issue. But yeah, just a quick thing about EFF while we're there. So this is sort of their guide. And again, I'm going to do a bigger deep dive. But basically, the way Tor Network works is that it uses what's called onion routing, and it disguises your network tracking by going through up to 3 nodes. At minimum 3 nodes. So when you access a website from point A to point B, it goes through and it looks at all the nodes on the network, and it starts out with the first node. And the first node, if I remember correctly, the first node knows where you came from, but it kind of knows where you came from, and it knows where you're going. The second node does not know where you came from that the first node knows, but it knows where it's going to send it to. And then the third node doesn't know what the previous ones use, but it knows where to go, and then you reach your destination. So if you tried to trace or backtrack through the network, as soon as you hit that third node, you wouldn't know where it is, even if you got to the second node. Technically, now in the past, it used to be people thought you'd have to poison the entire network. It turns out there's a thing we will talk about in October called first node poisoning. I think there's also last node poisoning too, but first node poisoning, that is an issue that Tor still battles with today. But just keep a note of that. Tor uses what's called onion routing, where you go through a minimum of 3 different servers. Each one are basically blind and are handing off your traffic data to the other node, not either knowing where it's going to go or where it originates from, so it makes it really hard to trace. And the reason why I bring that up is because you'll notice this Tor available up here. That's because, and we'll bring up this on here. Where are you? There we are. As you can see, this is our Tor landing page with a humorous joke in the middle up there. This is the Tor browser, and this is our Tor landing page, which we're going to reconfigure very soon. But you can actually, if you run the Tor browser and either run ZeroNet in the Tor browser, which you can, or just have it running, so the Tor nodes link, or you use like this system init Tor if you're in Linux to run Tor. Basically, if you're running a Tor node, and the easiest way for me is just to load up the browser, and then you log into ZeroNet, in addition to only having the addresses being the same awesome cryptography and hash methodology with SHA usually on a blockchain, and all the data being decentralized in a peer-to-peer network, your traffic will also be networked through the Tor network. So basically, when you use ZeroNet, you already have 2 awesome layers of protection, with the URLs being on a blockchain itself, so the destination of all the files it will never go away, and 2, and your privacy and your identity is linked, as you are essentially, your identity is a wallet, so that's already backed up by a lot of cryptographic functions that's difficult to crack. And 2, the data is remote, so it's peer-to-peer. It pulls all the data to you and then displays it. It doesn't find the data and then stream it to you, so it works offline and stuff. So that's already 2 layers of decentralized, encrypted resistance protection. But then you pipe all that traffic when you access the URL links on the chain through Tor with the 3 nodes. You're adding that extra layer. So it's kind of neat, because it's like, if you think you're already protected under Tor with ZeroNet is really resistant. Again, I just also want to put a background on the people that work at ZeroNet. If I remember correctly, there's no company involved. These are just volunteer open source people. I'm not on the project, nor did they pay me or ask me to sponsor this. I just think this is a cool thing to explore, particularly on my show, Crypto Barons. And again, if you really like this type of content, we're going to get into some other cool things in a moment. You can hit that bell and like, share, subscribe, or follow us on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube. If you do, I will see notifications pop up and cheer you on. And I thank you for that. Soon we should have ways, if you want to donate us a little bit of money in order to get like new locks and new filming equipment and stuff. We should have that up soon. If you are interested in sending us like various cryptocurrencies, because I have a Koinomi wallet, that will also help. Someone last episode did that with Zcash. So eventually I'm going to make a banner or an animated thing with like different QR codes and wallet listings. But in the meantime, if you want to send that, you can ask. And if you have any questions or you can't hear me or stuff, definitely let me know in chat. If not, keep listening, keep learning. And note also, if you're watching on DLive, even if no one's watching on DLive at the end of this episode, which should actually be pretty soon, because I don't really have much left to cover and I'm also really hungry, I will do the lemons, and then we'll raid someone on Twitch and then call it a day. So before we get into exploring a bit more of ZeroNet and the cool announcement, let's talk about the other aspects. So you can pipe all the stuff through Tor, which we are currently doing. So we're already routing our stuff through the Tor network with a minimum of 3 nodes, and we can change our identities. Just all the benefits of Tor, but none of the weaknesses. It's like we're Blade from Marvel Comics. It's great. And our identity, which you can see here, I love this effect when you drag over. This allows you to see how much data you can actually. This is a cool thing. This is a 3D model of all of the peers and their estimations where they are. So right now, thanks to Tor, it thinks we're coming from the Midwest, even though we're all the way up here. And you can actually see, and the green points are where we're peer-to-peering from. In addition, it doesn't show you through the Tor network like the nodes, but it shows the beginning and the end destination. So that also really shows where how effective Tor is, that we're over here, and it thinks we started here and ended here. But yeah, these are the current peer-to-peer nodes going on this cool nifty 3D globe, and it runs really smoothly because I've run ZeroNet on absolute potatoes. Also, if it doesn't, it would just show a basic 2D map or like a general listing. So I think that's neat. But it breaks down all the data you're using, the different caps, and this is where you can click if this is your website, which is how you build websites. We'll get to that in a second. And that's the site address, and it doesn't say it here, but you can do the signage and things like that. So, so that's one part of it, which is the BitTorrent and also Namecoin. Let's talk a bit about the Namecoin. So, there's a cool thing that you might notice, and I'm actually going to spoil this by going away. Some of the websites, most of the websites have these really long, like, it's the same thing that you see on Tor. You do a V3 onion, and it's like, it sounds like a place in Wales. That's the default ZeroNet addresses, but you'll notice, like, if we go to Zero Sites, let's open a new link. This is a comprehensive, constant changing list of sites it can find, a lot of stuff from China and Japan and European countries. You'll notice the URL, it has our default here, but then afterwards it says ZeroNetwork.bit, and that's known as a .bit address. And this is where Namecoin really excels. Now, what Namecoin could do for you is, and again, you can publish stuff directly from ZeroNet without Namecoin, and it will show up as that URL. And we are going to share that URL, but a cool thing is that you can register a .bit through Namecoin by obtaining a Namecoin and naming it and certain other things. And so, whether you want to donate cryptocurrency instead of giving a type address or showing a QR code, someone can just type in, you know, pay dc201.bit into the send address, and instead of typing our URL, the little hash address for our client, and it'll work exactly like that because our hash will be embedded into it. So like the Namecoin says, I can put different files in there, so I can put our Bitcoin address and stuff. And in this case, what you can do is you can link the file that you have your ZeroNet. God, my nose keeps acting up so much. I know I'm being gross, but actually, because I'm being gross, let's do this. I know my nose has been acting up, and it feels like people are going to think I'm doing cocaine or something because of how much my nose... I don't know why it gets like this. There's like no boogers in it or anything. It's just when I broadcast for like too long on Crypto Barons, my nose flares up. Maybe that will be the mystery we'll solve. I blame N Commander for that. It's probably all the dust in the room too. So, what we will do is link that address, and that way, when you type in .bit, it will go there instead of that giant name that it spits out. And so this is how you do it. So first of all, you need to get a Namecoin client, which we have running here. And as you notice, we've already had some transactions. And to get the Namecoin itself, and you can see we have two Namecoins here, roughly two Namecoins. It's a little bit tricky because unlike the top five, so unlike the top 5 or top 6, by the way, cryptocurrencies, these are the big giant established ones, are Bitcoin, and I'm not doing their variants, Bitcoin Cash technically, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Litecoin, Monero, and Dash. You can, if I remember correctly, all those 6 coins, you can like exchange direct fiat money for them. Most altcoins, including Namecoins, you need one of those big 6. In this case, only Bitcoin will work in order to get that. So which means, and this will be, we're going to cover this extremely briefly, but this will be a future episode, you have to go through an exchange. And one of my favorite exchanges is South Exchange, spelled, and I'll actually copy the URL and post that in the chat. South Exchange. It's like, you remember in the 90s where they would write extreme, but they would just use the X, like extreme, you know, or like X file and stuff like that. That's how it's spelled. And it works as a normal exchange. It has a lot of altcoins and wallets in it and the big 6, and you can do fiat exchanges. It's kind of skeevy as crap because it's probably the biggest exchange I can think of that... I'll put it this way. Most exchanges, like you go to Coinbase, oh god, it's like the Brave browser. I'll get to that next month. Where you need to have 2 IDs you scan in, and you have to put, basically at that point you might as well be going through an actual bank. You might as well go to Bank of America or Chase Bank, because they have all your stuff on file, because they're afraid of, one, you losing all your coins, 2, you doing crime with it, and 3, of them getting sued because of one of those 2 things. South Exchange is the last exchange that's not decentralized, and when we do exchanges, we will cover centralized exchanges versus decentralized exchanges, where all I had to do, I haven't done the cash part yet, but all I had to do for this was just make an account. And then it was the thing where I had to do a URL thing, which confirmed it. And that's it. And I can just generate all my wallets on fly. I don't have to show IDs and stuff. The people that built it, nobody knows them. There's like 7 people that built this thing. They have like 7 usernames. Nobody knows their real names. Nobody knows where they are. They're very responsive, and they keep everything running, and they're very transparent about what they do, except for who they are in their personal lives. Maybe one of them is Satoshi Nakamoto. Who knows? But yeah, this is like, when people say South Exchange is skeevy, what they mean about that is that it's very much like the local shops in Jersey City, where basically, if you don't know, if you haven't been here, like almost all the technology places that aren't Best Buy, like all the mom and pop laptop stores and repair stores, which we love, they're full of like old computer parts and stuff. And what it is, they almost have no security cameras, and they only accept cash, and some of them actually accept cryptocurrencies, and they don't see IDs, and you don't sign anything. It's very much a like Yamada sort of exchange sort of thing, and they're really awesome, nice people. They advertise our group a lot, but what I mean by that is they're very much like as long as you have the part to exchange or repair, and as long as you pay them the thing that they ask to get paid, they won't ask any questions, CIDs. I wash my hands of this. That's how much South Exchange is. It's the only centralized exchange that I've seen that's like that. So some people might call it skeevy. Some people might call it very open and open, transparent, and unobtrusive. That's up to you, but that's what I use. So essentially what I had to do was our co-founder G.I. Jack, thanks to him, in addition to lending me his awesome actual physical blockchain, which I love and actually has a bit of a he sent me like 1/1000th of a Satoshi because of how ridiculous Bitcoin is. With a future episode, I'm probably going to do Bitcoin and all of its crazy spin-offs and sickisms and fractures and stuff. But the best way I've been able to describe Bitcoin is trying to pay for anything with Bitcoin is like trying to pay for stuff in Zimbabwean dollars in reverse. Where instead of, like, you have to use billions of Zimbabwean dollars just to get a stick of gum, in this case you have to use like 0.1 billionth of a Bitcoin in order to get a stick of gum. It's like basically reverse inflation or anti-inflation or whatever. It's just as bad. But he sent me like 1/1,000,000th of a Satoshi, because Namecoin is really cheap. It's less than $1, and with the little fees that South Exchange, like most exchanges, take off the top, I was able to accidentally get 2 Bitcoins. So what I had to do was I had to use the Bitcoin, I had to exchange that, and then I had to. So once I had the Bitcoin in the wallet here, I first went to my Konami wallet, and then I went to here, and then I exchanged all of it for the Bitcoins, which I got Namecoins, and then I sent those Namecoins over from South Exchange here. Where am I? From South Exchange to my Namecoin wallet. So now that we have those coins here, here's what you have to do. In order to get the .bit working, and I'm going to make a caveat about this in a moment, you go to Manage Items, and then you have to input the D. As we say on DEF CON 201, you have to put at least the tip of the D in order to get anything work. So anything you named after the D, we're going to be saying this a lot, will become your .bit. So we named ours DEF CON 201.bit. And then we had to use a JSON string and take all the spaces out. And basically this denotes it as ZeroNet, and then this is the actual public URL of our website. And once that's in there and everything's synced and stuff, by the way, also, I just accidentally did that. The Namecoin chain is really long, and it's huge. The ledger is just huge. It's absolutely ginormous, because again, you can put any type of data in there. So there's Namecoins that have full length 8K movies on there. There's name coins that have the entire snapshot of the of everything that exists on the internet on there. So the chain takes a while. I'm on an Alienware gaming computer that's like mid to high, and it still took like 2 hours to sync the entire coin. On one of my older machines, it literally took 4 days straight before the Namecoin sunk, and that was a mid-range machine that can do everything on it but run Crisis. So just to note about how robust Namecoin is. And by the way, if you're wondering, that expires in, this is the amount of block transfers that are going to have before it expires. So basically you have it for roughly a year, and then you update it, which costs Namecoin. And you burn a Namecoin to update it, and it moves all the data over on that block. And it works. This is basically your DNS registry for your .bits. Once you have everything there and everything's synced, which it's not, that's when you can use the .bit. Now, I'm not going to bring this up here right now, but I will say this. Unfortunately, and that's the JSON string right there that you do. We copy paste this, removed all the spaces. We don't need the blog and talk for now. It was just the ZeroNet part, and that's the JSON string. Our .bit is not running. It's registered, so you can't steal it, but it's not running, so you can't. I can't do the DEFCON 2.1 .bit and loaded. We're gonna work on issues with that until we get that working. But that's how it would work in theory if you see that. So now you know how to register. So instead of having this one or in our case this URL, there's a .bit. It'd just be DEFCON 2.1 .bit, or your mother .bit or anything. And you don't have to just do websites. You can put in, a lot of people have .bits now to put their different wallet codes in, and you can have multiple wallets. So you can literally register a .bit and put your receive address for Bitcoin, and then your receive address for Ethereum, and your receive address for Monado and Litecoin. And when you use any of those clients, like if someone sends you, they can type in like SidePocket, this is probably not registered yet, but sidepocket.bit, and put that URL in their Bitcoin core wallet and send me some Bitcoins, and I get the Bitcoin. If someone puts that same address, sidepocket.bit, in their Litecoin wallet or Monero wallet and send that, I would also get that. That's how that works. You can put multiple things with it. It's really neat. Basically, it's the one decentralized DNS to rule them all, which is why I had to bring up how BitTorrent works. But here's going to be the cool thing, and I'm actually going to post the link to this in order to kind of show it off. So you ready? Drum roll, please. As it looks like there's an earthquake, because actually I should be... There we go. I should be doing this instead. This looks familiar, doesn't it? Let's click back. Yeah, that looks really familiar. This is our website on ZeroNet. It's published. You should be able to access it now. Again, the .bit doesn't work, but the OG already signed and published URL works. I'm going to type that into our chat so you can see the blur thing that comes after. But yeah, that's our ZeroNet version of our website. So in the same way, we currently have a landing page for the Tor website, which soon will look like our normal website. This won't exist. The idea is that eventually we are going to have the ClearNet website on all or as many of the most used darknets that we have. So we currently have one on Tor. I just made one that will be updated and modified soon for ZeroNet. We are eventually going to work on one for I2P, just because that one's probably going to be last, because as I've kind of hinted enough already, I2P is a ginormous pain in the ass. And then ideally, we might have an IPFS one, maybe. I might just put a base text one for that, not this website. But I really, it won't be episode Crypto Barons. I'd probably announce this at one of our upcoming DEFCON 2.1 meetings. But I really want to do a DAT version, a DAT version of our website, which uses the Beaker browser, and is also it's decentralized, and it works kind of. It's like decentralized like the way ZeroNet is, but using completely different tech. So yeah, but this is our website under ZeroNet. Now, here's what's kind of neat about it, right? And then we're going to end our stream because I'm hungry. So what we're going to do is in the same way how our website, the ClearNet over here, completely, and you can see we haven't updated it yet. We're going to do that. I need Sarasol to come back in order to do it, I think. So you can see here how like everything's adapted to the ClearNet. So we have ClearNet, which is our Medium blog. All these links work. Our social media is places on the ClearNet, such as Instagram, or if you want to be like more of a rebel, our Mastodon at hostducks.social, which I'm actually going to, because I feel like it doesn't get enough love, and we put a lot of work into it, or I put a lot of work into it. I'm going to post it in our chat. And again, chat, if you have any questions about what I'm talking about, or you want me to reiterate something, can't hear me, I'm too loud, etc., please let me know. If not, keep learning and enjoy. And if you hit that bell, like, share, subscribe, I will see a notification whether you're on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube, and cheer for you. And of course, at the end on Twitch, we're going to raid channel, and on DLive, because it's Crypto Barons, we're going to share some lemons. So that'll be neat. But back to this. So everything's adapted to the way the ClearNet is. Here's our email and stuff. So yeah, I'm actually going to click back to our ZeroNet website and then bring up our Tor landing page, which again, there we go. Which again, right now it's just a page. Eventually, it's going to look like our website. And so, but what's interesting about it, if you haven't noticed, is that we've made this work on Tor. So unless it's like an obvious outside link like ToolNJ or the Electronic Frontier Alliance, or any of our where are you? Like any of our like Cosmopolitan Outreach or whatever. We've customized some things. So like we let people know, and this is going to be, you're going to see how better integrated into our normal website that will eventually be on Tor. We have, and this is going to probably take a minute, we have our own blogs. Instead of using Medium, we're using Write As, not only because it just loads in faster and easier because it's all plain text, but also because Write As has its own Tor onion. So, and it might have a new V3 onion, but I'll have to double check. But yeah, so you can completely, without leaving the Tor network, although you'd still get protections from Tor through the nature of the routing, but you can completely access it through a .onion. We also have a Galaxy 3 group out there. So it's a very unique social media that only exists on the on Tor. And we're going to bring this back up when we cover the deep web darknet stuff, and we'll actually have the full website running and do that tour. I'm going to actually pause this here, and you can contact us. And we also have like normal portal modes, but the big thing is that in addition to our normal links, although we do have the Tor version of DEF CON's own website, and I'm actually going to load this guy, DEF CON groups. Down here we have what are called Tor Network and Hacker Resources, and I'm not going to go through all of these. Again, we'll go through these in October, but these are websites that only exist on .onions and or are onion mirrors of and you can see like DEF CON groups just loaded in, or a lot of these are mirrors of ClearNet, and we're going to check to see if we're on Tor. Are ClearNet versions of, .onion versions of ClearNet sites that are very useful hacker resources. For example, our friends at Dallas Hackers have their own onion. So the way we design this is that, one, let's say this is the first website you've ever went through on Tor, and like you don't know how to explore the network. There's no obvious default search engine. It's the same problem that dark mode. The same problem that ZeroNet has that we're going to see in a second. So it's like, what websites do you go? What cool hacker stuff that's legal is on here? Is there any privacy things? Is there any place that hackers uniquely meet to chat up on .onion and stuff like that? Well, we've designed this so that you have a ton of resources as a hacker on Tor to go to, as well as unique ways of how to interact and access us on the Tor network so that you never actually leave onion space. So that's the philosophy there. And I'm bringing that up because now we're going to go back to ZeroNet, running through Firefox here. And this is more of what the Tor landing page is going to be, and it's going to be a full website. So if you've noticed that, again, when we do the normal website, and you click on news, it goes to Medium. And again, when you do on the landing page, it goes to Write As. Well, now we need to update it because it's been a while since we made this. But if you click on news, there's actually a unique blog type for ZeroNet. So we have a ZeroNet blog and you can see the URL doesn't work. Unique ZeroNet blog for us, and I'm the one who usually updates those blogs, so probably only have the core meeting details. Our Medium we normally do for like, and sometimes Write As we normally do for like cool special announcements. But basically this allows you, so you're not jumping to a ClearNet version of the website and leaving ZeroNet. You're still on ZeroNet, so we have a unique thing there. In addition, there's a unique social media on ZeroNet called ZeroMe, and we have our own ZeroMe here, and it works exactly like Twitter does, except it uses blockchain technology to archive the different social media posts instead of what is it? I'm just blanking out. Instead of you know, the normal DNS centralized server structure. So again, you're never leaving ZeroNet when you click around all of our stuff. If I can just go back to that page. Oh, click too far. Let's do that again. There we go. And just like the landing page, so otherwise everything else works. Like if you go to info, it's the same page that we have info for our ClearNet site, except on ZeroNet. It's still the same URL, so everything works on here. And of course, like I said, we have our own blog and our own little social network. Now, here's the big difference again. Just like with Tor, if you go to our partners section, and I'm probably going to move this lower, we still have all of the ClearNet stuff here. Like I can click on DEF CON groups, and I don't know if it's going to open. Actually, let's do the right click. So, you know, ClearNet DEF CON groups and stuff. But but what we do, just like Tor, is we have a whole section for ZeroNet hacker resources. So it's not as big and as extensive as Tor, but despite its size, that's what she said, it's quite an interesting list of tools. And again, what's so cool about these is unless something catastrophic happens, I never have to worry. See, with Tor, I'm constantly changing the URLs because they keep reflashing and updating the URLs. Sometimes websites go offline and go back on because of the weird, unstable nature of hosting an onion. So sometimes if you see a link on our Tor landing page and you click, even though it worked like 2 weeks ago, it doesn't work now. What I like about ZeroNet is, again, I can put these URLs there, and because they're always peer-to-peer hosted by someone and their URL is in the blockchain, I pretty much almost never have to worry about any of these going offline. And you'll see that here. So let's do a quick tour of what do we have as our resources. A lot of these, unlike the Tor one, are very unique to ZeroNet. So a couple of these are mirrors of ClearNet stuff, but these are all very unique to ZeroNet. Well, the first prime thing, which is I also think is really important on Tor and any darknet, is ZeroNet has its own search engine that's hard to find. That's why we list it here, called Zoogle Search. And you know, ooh, look at all this fancy stuff. It's like the, can we do these at the same time? It's like the fancy globe. Ooh, yes, I am dual fisting the pew pew machines here. Look at that, pure pew pew. Also, which is neat, and we don't have it running yet, is, and you'll notice if you go to copycat.bit, they do have a mirror of YouTube, but they have their own mirror of YouTube that also has unique videos here called Copycat. And in the same way on YouTube and Internet Archives, we have archives of our past meetings and broadcasts. We're eventually going to have our own instance of Copycat, and we're going to, there's a lot of protest footage, especially from Hong Kong, being used. In fact, if I remember correctly, the ZeroNet ClearNet website and social medias are part of the Chinese the Great Chinese Firewall. So because a lot of protesters have been using ZeroNet, because obviously once it's uploaded to ZeroNet, you can't take these protest videos down. Like, even with the billions of people and 1984-ness of China, and these locally download and load, so you can also access the files individually. I don't think this one will load here just because we're using so much bandwidth to stream right now. But that again, you can kind of see why this would be appealing to people like activists and stuff like that, because of its essential nature. But we can go in and we can type in like hack, and it's a giant search engine of what it can currently find that's peer-to-peer hosted, that's public on ZeroNet. So that is the Google search. Actually, let's do this. Let's go all the way back here and then make it easy for yourself to click partners. Just a bit of a problem going back in time with ZeroNet, but I can deal with it. Another link that we have is the free library, which if it's currently running... Also, most sites have a default of a 20 megabyte limit, so if it's over that 20 megabyte limit, you have to like approve of that. That's the way they also make sure that data caps are not killing people. Ironically, George Orwell homage book is up here, but basically these are free books and information that you can download. And I don't know if any of this... Look, the Hacker Crackdown. That's a very famous hacker book from Bruce Sterling about hacker culture back in the day. I'm not saying if any of these are legal, but they do exist, so we thought we would list it there. So let's turn back time. Oh, come on. A weird one. By the way, I will point this out. What I love about every darknet is every darknet has a copy of the Bible. So apparently darknets are like hotels where every darknet has a copy of the King James Bible for some reason. But ZeroNet went an extra step further and listed the entire FreeBSD handbook. So if you use FreeBSD and you want to know the basics and like how shells work and stuff like that, and the stuff that can like is so boring that could put bears to sleep, you have the FreeBSD handbook there at your leisure. So that I have to click back here. So that's a thing. I just think that's hilarious. No, not projects. Partners. There's a iPhone blog, and you'll see here it's trying to connect to the peers, and it downloads and it works. It hasn't been updated in a while, but it's like a list of cool resources and tool stuff for hackers. We find that kind of neat. PrivacyTools.io. If we can go back to OBS here, there is and go back to the Tor Onion. There is a in here, we always try to find a copy, and there used to be an I2P one, but I think it's currently down. We always try to find a mirror of PrivacyTools.io, so there is v3 Onion for the current version of the website on Tor. If you've noticed, for ZeroNet, and I'm going to scroll really slowly because there might be some BS in here. This is an older version of the website, so some of the information might be either slightly outdated, or because you know there's not even like a dark theme in here, or might not be as useful. But most of the core information is here, such as browsers, whereas Firefox, Brave, and Tor browser, that's still the case. The WebRTC IP leaks. The different extensions that you can install in Firefox, different VPNs and stuff. So we always try to do like a copy of PrivacyTools.io on a darknet. There's the Freedom Crate project, which is a... Oh, we got another follow. Thank you, Tzek, for following us on DEF CON 201. I don't know if you are on Twitch or on YouTube. If you are, let me know in the chat. But thank you for that follow. I can't wait to see you while we probably trash talk the Apple presentation on September 15th. And of course, I hope you get to see how we're gonna hack Mac OS and iOS stuff on our September 18th meetup from 4 p.m. 7 p.m. Hi Tzek. I hope I pronounced your username correctly, but this is the Freedom Crate project. It's basically a way to make like a portable crate with a bunch of different hacker electronics in there to deploy for hacker stuff such as wireless packet sniffing and stuff. So we thought we would link that. That's pretty cool. I'm not going to go through every single link, but I just wanted to show off. So there's not many links to go through. Hacker Talk actually still gets updated if I remember correctly. Yeah, this is basically Reddit. There's a Reddit type system for ZeroNet, but instead of like, again, Reddit's centralized, so there's core Reddit and then it has all these subreddits. There's no subreddit for, I think it's called Zero Talk. There's no subredding for Zero Talk. There's basically multiple instances of core Zero Talk that all have different subjects. So Hacker Talk is the Zero Talk instance for hacker stuff. And so they're talking about packet, JIT, hardening bypasses, and webcam iOS. That sounds a lot like our, let's open that link. That sounds a lot like, can I open that link? Oh, it's its own page. Cool. Oh man, I might read this later. This sounds like our meeting. See, it's funny how we pick a hacking theme and everything just kind of links in here. What OS should you use for hacking? I love the first one. It's favorite for what? Pen testing? Like, describe what you want to do. I always say with a live OS, I lean towards Parrot OS, but we have a whole list. Just pick whatever you know, put some good tools on it if it doesn't have it, and then stick with it, because hacking is more about your skills than what your hardware is by a mile. So yeah, like good hardware helps, but yeah. But that's a dedicated ZeroNet only Reddit type forum just for hackers. So you'll meet hackers that you don't normally meet. There's actually a convention called Hack Meet Italy. And they have, it's probably not going on right now because of COVID-19, but they actually have an instance of their hack meetings on ZeroNet, so I thought that was pretty cool. Actually, we'll probably go through every one of these links because it's very short. There's always a Git type for Git repositories instance on every dark web. We do have one listed for Tor. This is Git Center. This is the one for ZeroNet, and again, what makes this unique is that you can make a new repository. It clones on your end. So just like with ZeroNet, all your code is hosted on your end and people peer-to-peer download it from you. And again, because it's peer-to-peer, if you delete your repository, that everyone still has their copies, so it never goes away. So that's pretty cool. There's also a web wallet on every darknet. There's multiple ones for Bitcoin. I think we let me go back. We link trying to remember what we link for Tor. It should be down here. I don't know if it's actually running, but we used to do Coinbin, but I don't think that's running anymore, and we have to like yeah, it's not running anymore, so we'll have to pick a new URL function for that. But we used to use Coinbin for the Tor one. But for ZeroNet, it has its own Coinbin. This is what it would look like on Tor, except it's on here. And again, you notice how, again, that URL didn't work, like the hosting went down, so now we can't access Coinbin. So if you had a Coinbin on that URL, you're screwed. This Coinbin never goes down. I added this. This is one of my first ZeroNet sites I ever added 3 years ago. And it's still going on because people still have hosted copied instance that you can peer-to-peer on here, and that stores your coins on there. It's funny, again, crypto barons, and this is like similar to the exchange. This is an online wallet that is just for Bitcoin, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it's only for Bitcoin. So if you need a web wallet that's decentralized, that's hard to crack because it's already running through a blockchain and is using peer-to-peer, Coinbin on ZeroNet would work. There's also a copy of the website Prism Break, which also has a ClearNet version. And if this properly downloads, let's see, is it downloading? It's connecting. It seems like there's a couple of errors. So maybe we'd have to adjust that one. But if I remember correctly, Prism Break is a website. This is probably the only one we're going to have to actually correct. That's a bummer. Okay, now I'm curious. Let's go back to Google search. We have multiple mirrors. Let's see if any of these work. So yeah, we're gonna have to replace that URL because I guess something got corrupted. But basically, what it does is if you have a device like we're in Windows, let's go to Windows. It shows all the different tracking stuff to disable as well as alternative networks here. Unfortunately, don't list ZeroNet. They still list FreeNet for some reason and GNUnet. Ew. But I2P and Tor, and basically it says, hey, you want to do this? You want to do DNS? There's Namecoin. Here's the thing that we recommend. That's an alternative to like the popular stuff. Can't really have a hard time going back. There we go. Email clients, like these are the proprietary ones. Who uses Facebook as their email? Gmail, Yahoo Mail, Yandex, Russia. Here's like alternatives like Rise Up and stuff like that. Or hey, email alternatives even more like chat, Riot. Instead of using Microsoft Outlook, you can use Microsoft Thunderbird, which is what I use. I also use K9 Mail. We're almost done here, by the way. We almost have a wrap on Crypto Barons. And then the last thing, which is probably going to be the hardest to load, and I do have an account on here. Every darknet that I've seen has a copy of Anarchic Binary. It's a BBS that you can either telnet directly into or use the BBS client to telnet into, or you can go directly through the browser like here. So it's currently loading it. Full screen browsing mode. So we're connecting. We're connected by SSL. This is the anti-bot measure. They also have a version of this on Tor and I2P and I think GNUnet. So yeah, this is, if you probably saw Hack Alt and Commander with BBSs, and I think I have a name on here. Let's see if I'm correct, because I can't remember which password. Oh, that worked. So I've logged into Anarch BBS, so it's scanning for any new personal messages. And it's a nice BBS that hackers use in order to just share files. And there's a lot of different types of files on here, just like you would back in the day on BBS. So yeah, this is our ZeroNet website. And I'm going to share the link again. So unfortunately, the .bit doesn't work yet, so you can't just put in defcon201.bit and have it work. But we are going to get that working later on this week. I'm going to figure out the kinks in it. We're going to be wrapping up now. I want to show one last cool thing about this. So that's basically it. So ZeroNet. ZeroNet is a decentralized peer-to-peer dark web. Unlike, you can pump it through the Tor network with onion routing, but unlike Tor and I2P, it's completely decentralized, and its anonymity and encryption methods is that they use a variant of the Namecoin blockchain in order to make individual user numbers, and that's how they identify people on there through that blockchain, and every wallet is essentially a user. And then the actual data on the network is stored using peer-to-peer using the BitTorrent network, making it very resilient for censorship and decentralization. If you want a .bit and to manipulate these URLs, you can use Namecoin, which, as we showed, also has its own wallet here that we currently use, and that's how we normally do the .bit that we have to work some kinkouts in. And as we said, we can also be pumped through Tor, and which is kind of our announcement. We will also post this on our social media. Here we go. In addition to a mirror of our website that will be updated along with our ClearNet and eventual Tor website, because it'll be a full website instead of a landing page, not only do we have unique ZeroNet type features such as blogs and social media, but we also have, if you go to partners and you're new to ZeroNet, links to multiple very useful ZeroNet websites, in addition to the biggest search engine on ZeroNet. So if you want to go exploring on your own, now you're a little bit less in the dark about this. Also to note, we're going to go back to the site again. And there's two other things I want to bring up real quick. So after we do that snazzy thing, since this is our website, what we can do is You can save site settings and then sign and publish with our private key. It did find the peers and now it found them. That was all those warnings. So that's how you easily update everything. If you ever want to get back to Hello ZeroNet, you just click that in the corner. This is let you know if Tor's pumping through. You can also, which we're not going to do here, you can click to enable Tor for every connection, which will only truly pipe it through the Tor network and its multiple node system. And you see these are the recently downloaded websites. This is kind of neat. So those websites I clicked on before, they're all stored here. So at any time I can go back and click the FreeBSD handbook and it's here. And I can't turn off the internet because that would kill the stream, although we're going to end the stream very soon. But if we were offline, I'd be able to see all those files. I just wouldn't be able to update them. And as a reminder of that, if I can bring up here, if you go into, because it's all a folder that you unzip, there's no installation, you just double click the ZeroNet and that runs the back end blockchain client in order to do peer-to-peer. But if you go under data, there's those same websites. So let's go back real quick. Let's look at the browser again. So we had the FreeBSD handbook. Which site was that? That was 18VK ending in a 9Z. So 18VK. Let's find that in our folder system here locally. So this is also how, if you made your own website, how you would update your own code, because it will give you one of these URLs. So let's see, 18VK. Just scroll a bit. There we go. VK. And this is the website, and that has all of the lot of different pages for it, and I can literally let's see here. Let's talk about. Is there one for root? Scroll down. Let's see. P. Q. It just skips right over. Security. That would be a fun one. So yeah, these are all the files, and like I said, they're stored locally. So if I double click on one of these, bam. It just opened that page, and that's what I mean about when I said everything is stored locally. So I don't even have to load up ZeroNet. I can. I forgot to switch over here. Let's see. I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to turn off ZeroNet here. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to turn that off. So I'm going to go back in the folder again. You're going to see like magic. I'm going to double click on security. And bam, it just loaded up that page. So like I said, even with ZeroNet not running and even without the internet, everything is working because, again, you are downloading these websites directly to you, verified on the blockchain. So even though it can't access the blockchain, you still have all your data locally because essentially the data is your ledger. So that's how ZeroNet works. And we can thank, what's his name again? Charming name. We can thank, as this loads, Paul Kenfield, aka Occupy Fall Street, for saying the germ of the idea to do this with Bitcoin, to then expand out to ZeroNet, which uses a combination of the BitTorrent peer-to-peer system, as well as blockchain like Namecoin's cryptography, blockchain hash encryptions to identify users and locations in order to make a very interesting, resilient, peer-to-peer, secure, decentralized network that you can additionally pipe through Tor. So I'm going to actually leave that on our website here. That is basically the show. As I wrap up here, if anyone has any questions about what I said or about ZeroNet, or I'm going to take off the browser and then grow myself, or Namecoin or whatever, please let me know in the chat. What we're going to be doing next is I'm going to be looking for a stream for us to raid, and yeah, there we go. And then and we're also going to go to DLive and distribute the lemons. In fact, that's the first thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to go to our DLive stream here, which should be up and running. I don't know if anyone's watching on DLive. I should probably. In the future, I'm A, going to do these earlier, and B, I'm going to, I'm going to do these earlier, and B, I'm going to have a lot more lemons in here. So in a moment, I'm going to click on the lemons button, but let's go back and let's see. I'm going to refresh the browser, and see who's live. Because by default, because they always stream around this time every day, I might stream Woke. Let's see. So Woke is streaming. Let's see. Is there any crypto things on here? Not Danimal is streaming. I don't know what he's working on, but that might be fun. Let's see. Anything else here? There's the cryptocurrency sheep. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Because the thing is, it's rare that Project Melody's streaming. So you know what I'll do? Next episode, if the Crypto Sheep are streaming, I'll forward everyone to the Crypto Sheep. Same thing with Not Danimal. So sorry, that's Danimal. We're going to forward everyone here to Project Melody on Twitch. So again, thank you for watching the stream. I'm going to distribute the lemons right now. So if you're on D Live, this is your chance. You have 28 seconds to do so. Again, thank you for following on the live stream here. If you want to find out more about us at DEF CON 201 or about Crypto Barons or other shows such as Hack Alt and Commander, Archvile Linux Perspective, and my other show, Master of Unlocking, you can go down to our website at defcon21.org. You can also find us on Twitter at defcon21nj. We're on DEFCON 201 on a lot of different social media. And we just announced, have our own ZeroNet instance of our website that will be updating. So that's 3 out of the 5 darknets that we've wanted to do. Our next Crypto Baron show will be next Saturday. So that will be September 26th at 8 p.m. at this time. Thank you, Tzek, for following us on DLAV. Ooh, I didn't know you had a double account there. You're being very sneaky. I hope you got your lemons in, because I haven't checked that yet. I'm going to actually submit that once more again. Let's distribute. And I promise I'll have a lot more lemons. Oh, I have to wait. So that was the only description there. So I don't know if you got any lemons, but that'll be neat. I might try to do it one last time if I can, if it will allow me. But yeah, I will be distributing lemons again and possibly more on September 26th. And our subject is we're going to talk about how cryptocurrencies do security, because Bitcoin and other major cryptocurrencies, in fact, most of the tops, those big 6 that I listed, except for maybe 2 of them, don't have actual blockchain security. So I might go to your account and particularly and send you lemons. So just hang on there, because you've been very nice, Tzek. But yeah, so we're going to be covering, if I remember off the top of my head, we're going to be covering Dash, Zcoin, a little bit of Dash, but Zcoin, Monero Part 1, because October we're going to cover Monero even more, and Mimblewimble with Smile. I know that sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook, because it does, but I'll explain what that is in the episode. But yeah, we're going to be covering how, Grin, how Dash, Zcash, Monero, and Grin builds in security to make sure that transactions are anonymous and even more secure than they are normal, which will lead into our Halloween-themed episodes of Crypto Barons, which will carry a part 2 where we talk about cryptocurrencies on the dark web, and not only how they're used on the dark web, but cryptocurrencies, including Monero, are piped through the Tor networks to add actual onion routing security and even I2P. And then we're going to have a second part in late October, or second episode, which will be about the Brave browser and all of its stuff, its cool things, and mainly its main controversies, because we have a very interesting hot take that we felt was only unique to DEF CON 201, but seems to have gotten more popular over time due to some of the unscrupulousness that the people at Brave have done, even though I know a couple of them on the development team. But yeah, so yeah, on September 26th, we will be covering actual security in cryptocurrencies, mainly Dash, Zcash, Monero, and Grin, using Mimblewimble, and I'll explain what a Mimblewimble is. But that's our stream. We're going to go raid Project Melody. She's hilarious. Basically, imagine Hatsune Miku, but it plays video games. It's an AI, big-boobed anime character, plays video games. That's going to be a lot of fun. Again, if you want to check us out, you can go to defcon21.org. I hope to see you when we watch the Apple event live stream and laugh at how probably, like, anti-consumer it is. And then I hope you see our and come out to, if you physically can, in Jersey City, to our September 18th meeting this Friday, where it's going to be all about hacking Apple, Mac OS, and iOS devices. So hope you enjoyed this episode of Crypto Barons. You can reach out to us at info@defcon2011. And again, you can go to our website, defcon201.org. If you want to be able to email us or act with us. It's been me. I'm Saad Paka. I'm one of the two co-founders. Thank you for doing Crypto Barons, where we look at cryptocurrency and blockchain technologies as actual technologies. Dirty Jersey represents Hack the Planet. And for all you Twitch people, I hope you enjoy the craziness that's Project Melody. And for everyone else, see you on the 15th and the 18th. Peace.